Ladies and gentlemen, nerds and neckbeards, welcome to another episode of Westworld. Wheneverly.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Tana.
What's going on, my friend?
You know, this has been a very interesting last half an hour.
It really has.
Yeah.
We had to make our drinks, naturally.
Yes.
And what did we go with tonight?
I think we went with a take on the chai tea latte.
We did.
In which we didn't actually use milk.
So the idea was, the name of this episode is The Stray, and there's no cocktail or easy, there was no real meat on that bone. So I watched the episode
At least
and I was
none
like...
that we were creative enough to come up with.
Yes.
It's not like Valar Mojitos.
Oh, man.
Which started us on this drinking podcast kick.
Stana Sours.
Yeah, we were
Sun
good.
Spear. Tequila Sun Spears.
Yeah, we had some good ones.
So, but Westworld doesn't have that same sort of, plethora of drinks.
It's got like a different flavor to it, And I think that's what allowed us to kind of spin off.
So we did spin ourselves off. We're doing a really good job, I think, spinning ourselves off.
I think we did a good job of spinning ourselves off.
I mean, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back here. We're really good at it.
I think I'm going to pat myself on the bum. And then maybe in some other regions where we can spin off.
Yep, excellent.
Really nice.
So the only liquid in this show, David, is milk. And we're not, what are we going to do? Drink milk?
No.
So our solution was drink milky chai tea.
That's right. And so what we did was we brewed some chai tea.
Did we brew it, Dave?
Yes. Okay. Well, using a Keurig is still considered brewing, Miss Hipster, French press,
Tana,
a
text message
Nespresso,
to Dave.
whatever you have.
Boil some water. I'm headed over. It'll be ready to go when I get there. I have a Keurig. Okay, so I get here, no hot water, nothing's ready to go.
No.
It did only take a second.
It was almost instantaneous. If I had plugged the Keurig in before you got here...
shaved 4 seconds off the entire...
It would have shaved about 4 seconds off, exactly.
So I made a hot chai tea latte.
You did?
I guess not a latte. It's just chai tea.
Well, it's kind of a latte because we added the milk.
Yeah, what kind of milk did we add?
The Rumchata.
Yeah, we did. So it's Rumchata and a dash of, what do you have downstairs?
It's wild turkey.
Wild turkey bourbon.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. Mine
is quite good. Well,
it is a very milky tea.
Well, my version is better.
But it's very good. And so I had mine piping hot, and it's delicious. How did you choose to have yours?
I chose to put mine over ice and create an iced chai tea Rumchata
latte.
Rum ChaiLatte.
Nice.
Thank you. Took me a while to come up with that.
It really did.
But we worked through it. We just worked right through it.
Yeah, we workshopped that pretty well. Yeah. So if you want to make it at home, little Rumchata, a shot of bourbon of your choice, and we used Celestial Seasonings. There's some tiger ginger. I don't know what it's called. It's not called chai
Tana has
tea.
no idea. She went...
It's just caffeine free. I ransacked my tea
drawer.
She
went into Kirsten's tea drawer.
Just tea bags flying everywhere. And I was like, I know she's got something somewhere.
She's got something in here.
I drink one kind of tea. That's all I drink. And then there's a billion other things that she has. So that's our drink for the night. Dave, this drink...
Yeah. Looks like nothing
to me.
There you go. You got it right for once.
Nice. Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
That's right.
This was the best episode.
So far.
I mean... They've all been good.
I mean, eventually we're just going to keep saying that, right? Because, I mean, the best thing about...
I guess the opening was really great. Like, the first episode was especially good. They've all been good.
So here's my fear.
Yeah.
Right? Because season 1 was so good.
Yes.
And I mean, every episode just kept building on each other. And it just kept creating this intense story. And it unfolds. And then they throw a completely new twist.
Yes.
Especially on top of it, the way that they filmed it.
Yes.
And the way they cut it together. They're like purposely trying to confuse you.
Yep.
And you're trying to figure out when is all this stuff happening. But just because of that, it's been so good. My fear is that I don't know how they can continue that.
Right.
And I think that's why they took that extra time.
Yeah, I hope
to film season 2 because they really wanted to not fuck it up.
Right.
And I hope they don't.
Oh, it's so good. Whatever it takes for this show to continue. Like I can't imagine that they can keep it up, but of course they can, right? Yeah, like I didn't imagine that this show could exist in the first place.
Yeah, I mean they're HBO. I mean look what they've done with Game of Thrones.
Fair point.
I mean,
I'm impressed with what HBO has got on offer.
Yeah, as much as you were a hater before, you're in. I
know. I fell in love with the Game of Thrones guys, Davos, Jaime, Tyrion. The show versions are different, very different
but
than the book versions.
They're lovable.
But I'm into it, man.
Yeah.
So,
I knew we'd convert you one day.
So we open with Bernard and Dolores in their secret chamber, and he's asking her, have you told anyone about us? And she says, you told me not to. Mm-hmm. This is, again, the sort of like repeat theme that we have.
Yeah, so did you pay attention this episode? Because we talked we talked about this.
Oh, close the door. We can't have Lauren hear any of this. Yeah. Again, Lauren is listening. No, watching through for the first time.
Yeah, Lauren's watching for the first time, so I wanted to close the door.
So we're trying not to spoil it.
But did you
I was watching for the Arnold, for like the connected Arnold stuff.
Yes.
You know what I remembered? I was not sure on my first watch through if the Man in Black was a bad guy, and this was the episode where I was like, oh fuck, did he unlock something in Dolores? Like when she has that flashback and he takes out the knife, you know, and they're in the hay barn. And I was like, oh, a twist here would be if we assume he goes in there and he rapes her and it's violent and we have every reason to believe that, but we never see it.
Right.
And it's after that interaction that she starts like glitching, that, you know, Abernathy glitches and she glitches and sort of that's the catalyst. Not that he's the catalyst, but that fits in the timeline. And I remembered watching this episode that my first time through, this is when the seed of, oh, is he really a bad guy, got planted in my head.
You know, it's interesting. I didn't think that my first watch through, I never thought he was like a good guy.
Right.
But something I did that brings up is we don't see the Man in Black almost at all in this episode.
Hardly at all.
None of his storyline at all. It's all just a flashback.
Yeah, a couple flashbacks.
Yeah. But so the one thing I wanted to mention is when you said it opens up with
Bernard and Dolores.
Yeah. She never says his name, which is really interesting because he says like hello Dolores or turn yourself on Dolores, and she just says hello.
Right.
And so that's another like trigger for me that this could be Arnold, right?
How amazing that on a second watch I'm feeling crazy. Am I imagining this? Like, I'm having the hallucinations that they're having, right? Like, Maeve in the last episode was sort of transposing people.
Right.
The bad Indian guy became the Man in Black. And, like, people become other people. And it's sort of this very transitory thing. Bernard could be... Arnold could be, you know, and I'm feeling crazy now.
Yeah.
Watching it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's mind bending, which is what I think makes it so good. Another thing to pick up, just jumping around a little bit, when Bernard, we assume it's Bernard, but it is Bernard because Ford mentions his name.
We don't know anything about Arnold. Well, this is when we meet Arnold, or we learn a little about Arnold. Yep.
But what's interesting is on the second watch through, I find these little like snippets of information that tie Bernard to Arnold.
Yes.
So like the first thing is he shows the picture and there's two guys in the picture.
Yes.
And we know that there's a third guy in the picture, but you don't see him, right?
But if you pause it, right? If you were to pause it on that scene, Bernard is looking at that picture that Ford hands him when they're doing their one-on-one in Ford's incredible office, which we're going to have to come back to because, oh my God. And it's wide enough for 3 people to be in it, and there's only 2 dudes and like an empty space.
Right. And on the first watch through, you don't think of anything, right? Like who would frame a picture with just 2 people?
This picture looks like nothing to me.
That's right. Exactly. Cheers. Another thing,
good.
Ford makes the comment like, "Oh, because of Arnold's troubled past."
Yeah.
And then you learn that Bernard lost a son.
Yes.
And is dealing with this past thing. on the first watch through, Ford just mentions, oh, there was Arnold, blah, 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 troubled past. It never clicks to make these kind of connections. And on the second watch through, it's just like, holy shit, they laid it out for us.
And they've given us these small details that they don't belabor the point. Last episode, Bernard, when did we bring you in? Were you here at X time? No, I was here, I came on about 10 years ago or something. Yeah. And he's like, okay, so park opens 30 years ago and he's been here for 10 years and they brought him in and, you just assume that he is, a hire, that like you invent as the audience, you invent the backstory, you fill in the blanks.
That's right.
Oh, it's just masterfully done. I do have an audio clip. Can we do the what happened last week?
Yes.
One? Okay.
Let's do it.
Again, with my this is my high tech.
Yeah, we're going to hold it up because I screwed up our mixing techniques.
I know you think you got a handle on what this is going to be. You have no idea. Do you remember our last conversation, Dolores?
Yes, of course.
And you haven't told anyone about our little talks?
Have I done something wrong?
There's something different about you, about the way you think.
Hosts are supposed to stick to their scripts. This isn't a minor improvisation.
You retired the two hosts in question.
If this is not a dissonant episode, then whatever Abernathy had could be contagious.
The photograph alone couldn't have caused that level of damage. You think it's sabotage?
Dun dun.
You think it's sabotage?
And so, there's some red herrings here. Do you think it's sabotage? So Ford and Bernard are looking for a ghost, right? Or like some sort of rogue
Ford
renegade
is leading them on, some wild goose chase type of thing. But what's interesting is we get this question, right, of the parallel timelines, right? Mm-hmm. It's like
it still feels
like
one timeline,
like
to me
one
here.
timeline. Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. It still feels like all of this is happening in the Man in Black's time.
Yep.
Right?
That there's the Man in Black and then young William and Logan are somewhere in the park at the same time that all this is happening.
Right.
The divergent timeline doesn't exist.
And I think we need to keep an eye out for that because something that doesn't make sense to me is when did Dolores go crazy?
Yes.
Right? Because if I recall, based on the end, was 30 years ago, right? And then
and they dialed her back or something.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's like if this is like a recreation now, like people are seeing it again,
right?
And
so Ford says something to Bernard. Well, we can just jump around a little bit.
Yeah.
So they're talking about backstory. He's talking with Bernard about things. I think this is before he's sitting there with Teddy, and he says to Teddy, "A coward lives 1,000 deaths, and the valiant die but once. But Shakespeare never met a man like you, did he, Teddy? You've died at least 1,000 times."
Yep.
Oh, and there's just this, I love that they weave that highbrow sort of, I don't know, there's a literature, a philosophic bent to the entire thing that I just find so beautiful and haunting.
Well, it's just Ford, right? That's Ford. He's just this, mysteriously creepy philosophical dude.
Yep.
And so this brings up a perfect question. Did he weave this? Is that in the past?
I think that's
now. Is that 30
now.
Years ago?
No, I think that's
because he
now.
uploads a new story, right?
But that's for the now, isn't it? He gives the Wyatt story now. Okay, let's go through it scene by scene, and then scene. Okay, so we open with Dolores and Bernard. You heard it in the sound clip where he's like, "Did you tell anyone about us?" "No, you told me not to." He has her read Alice in Wonderland, and talks about his son. We don't know yet that his son is dead, but we find out later in the episode that Charlie died.
Right.
And they read books that are about change. He has her go on don't say any canned responses, improvisation only.
No scripted responses, improv only,
People tend to read about the things they want but never experience. Something like that is what Bernard says to Dolores when she puts together that all of the things he's having her read are about change. And she reads the passage, "Am I the same as I was when I woke this morning?" looking through the lens of a father that's lost a child, Bernard could be reluctant to sever his ties with Dolores because he's filling that hole in himself.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like
which is why I think it's in a later scene. He makes the comment like, you know, I'm going to have to change you back.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he's like, never mind. Let's see where this goes.
Let's follow this path. And he even uses a metaphor about teaching his son to swim, where he had to like throw him in the water or, you know, and have him sort of flop around. It was very scary.
Yes.
So according to what we know to be true about Bernard from Bernard's perspective, I think we can see his relationship with Dolores as that of a parent and a child.
Yes.
And so he is trying to teach.
He's trying to teach and nurture. Yeah.
And he's maybe more predisposed to do this because of his loss.
Right.
Which we know is fucking programmed.
Right.
So if he is programmed and he is Arnold, like the consciousness of Arnold, I don't remember how it all fits together. But then who the fuck was the wife he was Skyping?
Yeah, so the question is, was that in the past?
And was that really Arnold and Arnold's wife?
That's right.
And there's some sort of like, I don't know, filter screen that makes it look, when Bernard remembers, that Arnold remembers himself as Bernard and remembers his Arnold's wife as Bernard's wife or something.
Well, I don't think there's... now I can't remember if she ever says his name.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if she ever says Bernard.
So it all feels like a very current time. Okay, we're bad at remembering things, which is why I think watching this the first time through was right now.
Yeah, which is sad because I just watched this like an hour ago. But that's something I didn't pay attention to, was if she says his name. But, you know, that's a good question.
But it's not going to look like what Arnold's wife looked like, right? And there were other people in the room also Skyping. So was the whole thing imaginary? Was there...
What do you mean? Arnold, if I remember correctly,
Bernard,
Arnold looks exactly like Bernard.
Oh, I thought they looked different.
I thought they were the same person, which is what makes it so crazy, is that they show... When you finally see the picture, it's Bernard in the picture.
I thought he looked different. Okay, maybe I'm going off script here. Okay, well, let's put a pin in that and come back when, you know, we have answers. We're doing really great analysis right now. So Dolores goes, so am I the same that I was this morning? And then she finds that gun. She opens her drawer, finds the gun, sees herself reflected to herself in the mirror, hears Bernard's voice. Oh, fuck. But then, okay, so who are the three guys?
I don't know.
I think Arnold's the middle guy.
No, this is Arnold.
Right. No, that's Bernard.
No, Bernard isn't a real person.
I thought Bernard was the visage that I don't know. Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I guess you're going to have to find out for the first time.
Probably. I don't know why I'm making it. This is the MO with me. I make things more complicated than they actually are.
Definitely.
Why don't we reacquaint ourselves, Dolores? Start at the beginning, says the man in black. Right?
Yep.
And she twitches and puts the gun back in the dresser. So she flashes back when she opens the drawer. There's a gun in there. Looks at her reflection, which is, you know, TV mumbo jumbo. Remembers the man in black saying, let's go back to the very beginning. And then she closes the drawer and puts the gun away.
But then she opens the drawer and the gun's not there. And I think that is where we snap to a different timeline.
And then it's the man in white hat is the next scene. And he's got heroic music. Some idiot in the street gets shot. Right. We know that this is a flashback.
Or not necessarily flashback, because we're not having someone remember it, but this is early timeline.
It could be that she's remembering when she met. But yes, we transition to white hat because I guess she's not in that scene.
She's not in that scene.
Yeah, and so the idiot gets shot. There's all this heroic music. The music played a big part in this episode where it was like things were scary or weird or whatever. Right. Like the way that they're doing the music is really nice. But yeah, he kills a guy. Finally, refuses the prostitute who wants to fuck him, and Logan walks up pulling on his junk.
Thank you.
Yeah. The fuck, thank you.
Oh,
God. And this is where we find out that he's gonna marry Logan's sister.
Yes, this is right.
Plot twist.
And we also find out how much it costs.
Yes, $40,000 a day.
A day. I'm not paying 40
Stump
grand.
Dave,
He goes,
how much does it cost to be in this park for one day?
$20,000 per person per day.
Per person per day?
Yeah, it's 40 grand total for the two of them, right?
I don't know. It could be 40 grand each that they're paying.
Well, okay, fine. But he makes the comment, he's paying, the Logan is paying for it because he makes the comment, I'm not paying 40 grand a day.
Got it.
What does he say? To do something?
Yep, to sit out here and jerk myself off or something.
Right. To sit out here in the woods and jerk myself off with these guys. Yeah,
that's right. And so we've got, the White Knight is off.
Fucking dick.
Is off on adventure.
Pun intended.
Do you know, Stump Dave?
Ooh.
What the CEO, Catherine's name really is? Because not Catherine. I told you we'd find out eventually what all their names are.
The CEO. It's Christine. Damn it.
Teresa.
Oh, Teresa.
Bernard and Teresa.
Yes.
Yeah, and so Teresa comes in.
What's Closet Lesbian's name?
We're just going to call her Closet Case Becky.
Oh, Becky.
I don't think it's Becky.
Fucking Becky.
But we're calling her Becky.
I think it's actually Beth.
Is it?
For some reason, I feel like it's Beth.
She looks like a Beth.
She does, right? Fucking damn it, Beth.
Yep.
There's always that one.
We find out from Catherine, who is really Teresa, that Ford has taken a chunk of the park and is making everyone freak out because he's taken over a chunk of the park and he's taken over the new storyline at the 11th hour.
Right.
And they're not happy about it. And Bernard's just like, well,
Ford
it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be good. And then we transition from there to Closet Case Becky, who's interviewing Abernathy. Do you remember that scene? She tells Bernard she found something odd about the milkman. He's talking to someone. Remember, she's looking on her iPad?
Yeah,
He's talking to someone. There's no one there. Who's he talking to?
Yeah.
He's talking to Arnold.
Yep.
This is one of the first times I think that we see or that we hear Arnold's name. He's talking to a guy that he identifies as Arnold.
Right.
Right? And so she says, Walter, the guy who's got the milk, which is cheers while we're drinking this.
This drink looks like
nothing to me. It is good, I gotta say.
It's really much better.
Yep.
Cold.
No, hot.
You want to try this again?
Nope. I'll try it. Do you want to try my warm one? You're just not a warm liquids kind of guy.
I'm not a warm liquids kind of guy. I like soup. Like pho. It's
that's good.
I told you.
That's good.
It's much better.
No, it's better.
It's nice
hot.
and refreshing.
Tea should be hot. Walter's holding a grudge.
He
Closet Case Becky points it out.
Points it out that each one of these guys that he killed has killed him many a times and in multiple storylines.
He lets 3 of them go. Why does he let 3 of them go? They never killed him, is what she thinks.
Right.
And so he's on a grudge. He's in some loop, but is he remembering? He's hearing the voice of God.
Yep.
Oh, it's so good. And then G.I. Joe's there, and he says, G.I. Joe's like, I sleep with this gun. And she goes, I bet you do. Oh, I think their chummy dialogue, the whole episode really carries it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy their friendship, or whatever this is. And so they go off in the park because they're chasing down a stray, which is what the episode is called, The Stray.
Yeah.
But G.I. Joe says...
There's a little sexual tension between Closet Case and Stubbs.
Yeah.
His name is Stubbs.
Stubbs. I call him G.I. Joe.
I know, but his name is Stubbs.
Is it really?
Yeah.
His name is Stubbs?
That's what she calls him.
Stubbs?
Stubbs.
I'll listen for that. That doesn't sound right.
I'm telling you.
Seems like a rude way to name that guy.
Hey, Stubbs, come over here.
G.I. Joe says the only thing keeping these hosts from hacking us to pieces is one line of your code.
Single line of code.
I sleep with this, and he pats his gun. She's like, I bet you do.
Would have been better if he patted his dick a little bit, just like tap, tap, tap.
I mean, the phallic imagery was like tap, right tap, there. Tap. It was right there. And then Teddy and the fucking lesbian shotgun. This chick, I thought she was a host at first. So Teddy is on one of his side quests or whatever in the center of town.
She's not a host?
No.
See, I couldn't tell if she was a host or not. She's not a host.
She's a lesbian guest.
Yeah, okay.
That's hanging out with Teddy.
With Teddy.
Yeah, so that's so our lesbian shotgun comes in and Teddy is taking it to this bad guy and he's like, I hear you only rough up girls or at working girls or something.
Yep.
And then all the bad guys, there's a big firefight and Teddy's like bam bam. And then fucking lesbian shotgun blows away the guy. Oh, that was so great. These little moments,
they
make it
handcuff
so fun.
him outside the brothel and Maeve's like, All right, which one of you idiots tied up a dead man in front of my establishment?
He's not a dead man. He's merchandise. He's worth $500 or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go in here and get a drink.
Yeah.
And then our favorite prostitute does her tired old line on the girl. Oh, you must be new here. There's not even kind of a rind on you.
Yep. Come with me.
Leslie's just gobsmacked. Teddy, I'll see you in a second. Goes upstairs. Doot. Stump Dave.
Stump Dave.
What does marpiosa? Oh, Stump Dave. What is the name of the brothel in Sweetwater?
Something. It's on the tip of my tongue. Butterfly? Maripiosa.
It is marpiosa, Dave. Correct. Ding. What does marpiosa mean?
Butterfly.
In Spanish, it does mean butterfly.
I knew it.
Ding. What does the marpiosa mean in English? What is a marpiosa in English?
It's not a butterfly? Mariposa. House of false marriage.
No. Somewhat not surprisingly. It is.
Wait, let me
yes,
get
okay.
this.
Well, yeah, sure. Remember, it's going to have symbolic meaning to this story. They're doing a lot, like whoever is set designing and world building is putting a lot of thought into the stuff that we see and the name of things.
Gathering of posses. Damn it.
It is. A mariposa is a tulip-shaped flower that has 3 sepals and 3 petals.
So like a vagina.
I mean, it's got 3, right? Sepals are the parts that...
Separate?
No, that work on the flower reproduction situation.
Are they?
They are. But...
Did you look that up? Or did you know that?
Well, I have a friend that is a baby maker, and her baby making business is called Sepal.
What?
Yeah.
She makes babies?
She's a, what is it?
In vitro?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them.
She
fertilization specialist.
Does she like... Okay, yeah. I was curious kind of... We're going to go on one of our famous tangents here for a second. So, does she like...
Yep. She makes babies for a living.
She like jack the guy off.
No,
take the semen.
Definitely not.
Stick it in a.
He kind of does
an
that.
Egg,
I'm pretty sure it's a cell. You participate in the collection of samples with which you use to impregnate your partner.
So he like goes into a room with a little collection cup, and the lady's like, "Do you need help with that?"
No,
she like slaps on 2 gloves, just like
not that.
What movie was that? Road Trip or Euro Trip or something?
Is this the Lucy Lawless one where she's like, "Here's your safe word," and it's just all consonants and it's about a mile long?
yeah, that's Euro Trip. That's Euro Trip. Yep.
My first thought.
Okay.
With this tulip-shaped flower with 3 petals.
Yeah.
Could this be a reference to the Holy Trinity?
Oh, what's the Holy Trinity? I'm a Jew.
Yeah, so the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Oh.
And so we've got our whole, like, God and Jesus and angels or humanity.
Okay. So,
I guess Jesus isn't in it.
So
but
who's
God
the Father?
And angels.
Ford?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, maybe...
Or maybe Bernard?
Maybe Mariposa. And the butterfly itself transforms. Ooh. It goes from caterpillar to completely other thing.
That I would sink my teeth into.
Yeah?
That is a good theory.
A little meat right there.
That's some meat on that bone.
Something to think about. That was our Stump Dave round. You failed.
What do you mean I failed? I got 2 out of 3. That's pretty good for me.
Yeah, actually.
That's
pretty good for you.
I mean, you did not expect me to get butterfly.
I did not.
You were like...
I gave it to you the other week, and you were like, it's not butterfly. It is.
What do you mean you gave it to me the other week?
I said it in our first episode.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going to have to listen to our first episode.
When Maeve sees Teddy enter the saloon and the lesbian shotgun goes upstairs... She flashes back. She remembers that.
Yeah, that's right.
She remembers the last scene from last episode where Teddy was all being hosed down.
Dead and hosed down in the cattle farm.
Man.
In the box, the white box. You know what's interesting too? If I'm in some future world where I'm like basically killing and disposing of fake bodies, do you make every single room out of glass where everyone can see everything?
But there's a sort of like, I don't know, it's cold, man. There's no feeling. There's no like wood accents.
Well, wood says that. Ford, I don't know where it got wood from. That's kind of weird. Ford says that. There's that scene where he's talking to like the makeup artist. Yeah. Right? And he...
Yes.
And the makeup artist like covered or whatever, covers
we
like the guy's...
We gotta talk about this scene. And because he's...
Covers his genitals.
Ford is working in the corner with Teddy, or is he talking with Bernard?
I think he's talking with Bernard.
And then there's a makeup artist working with, just some host that we've never seen.
Right.
And the makeup artist has like a smock on the front of this male host.
Right.
And he's painting his face or whatever he's doing. And Ford gets annoyed.
Yeah.
And he stands up and he marches over there. And he was like, why do you have this host covered up?
Yeah.
And he was like, to protect his modesty, perhaps? Or so he doesn't get cold? And he rips off the smock and he's like, he doesn't get cold. They don't feel cold. They're not alive.
He says they don't feel unless we program them.
They only feel what we program them to feel.
He takes like a scalpel and cuts the guy's face.
Yeah, just sort of like almost the sort of casual violence of it.
Yeah.
And just is like, do it again, Don't cover him up.
Yeah.
And so Ford is getting monstrous, right? Like you think, oh, maybe he loves them. This is what I was thinking. Tenderhearted Tana. I was like, oh, these are his creations, his little babies. He misses his old friend. None of that's true.
Nope.
He's a cold-hearted bastard.
And if he's the one who helped create this park, that explains why every fucking room is just glass.
Yep. Yeah.
So you can't hide anything, so you don't get attached. Maybe he's really doing it for their benefit, right? He doesn't want you to get attached. He doesn't want to have you start feeling like these things have consciousness and alive.
My note on that scene, I think you're absolutely right. I think that my note on that scene is
Rum ChaiLatte.
Ford is talking to Bernard, and Bernard is like interrupting him because Bernard, is still like preoccupied with questions.
Yeah.
And Ford says, I was chasing inspiration. It's a tricky thing. And then he looks at Bernard and he says, weaving the old into the new. Oh, man.
That's an Arnold.
And so we're thinking it's an Arnold. And then he gets up and like cuts the host's face and it's cold-blooded, a lesson on modesty. Holy shit.
Yes.
And it's from there when he cuts the thing and he's like, they're not human, do it again. That's when Bernard and Ford walk to Ford's amazing office.
Crazy office with a bunch of faces, little tiny miniature sets, designs.
Entire walls of dusty miniatures.
Yep.
Horror. There's like cow skulls, and there's a head on his desk. Everything is dark and glass and sleek and very modern looking, but and dark. There's and on the table there's a head, and in the head's eyes are clocks. There's like little, like pocket watch wind up clocks. It's creepy as fuck. It's sort of steampunk and modern and skulls and
creepy.
Shit. It's creepy.
Yeah.
There's a wooden hand on Ford's drafting table. Everything is bathed in shadow.
He's got a little fake pools of guy light playing a piano. When he turns the lights on, and the guy's just like,
and he starts playing that. Oh man, there's artifacts. There's dusty figurines, glass encasements everywhere. Oh, it's so creepy, and
Let's
I love it.
Let's be honest, though. I was just gonna say. You wish you had that office.
I love it. It's so
with
creepy.
A little drafting table in the corner so you can do your work. And
that is beautifully laid out.
Yes.
And so when they're there, this is when we get the conversation about Arnold. 3 years in the park, they got to work on everything before it opened to anyone.
Yeah.
And those were the good old days. Because Bernard's like, you're not telling me the whole story.
Yeah.
You need to come clean with me.
This is where Ford admits that Arnold saw something in the host and wanted to create consciousness, and he just describes this pyramid where he says,
yes, go on.
He describes how Arnold thought consciousness, the key to consciousness was this pyramid. I forget what all the layers are. I'm sure you did not.
In fact, do I have
a clip?
Do I have a clip?
Do you have a
It's called...
Let's go to the clip bag, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to find it in Tana's iPhone.
It is called Bootstrapping Consciousness.
Bootstrapping Consciousness.
He imagined it as a pyramid. Memory, improvisation, self-interest.
And at the top?
Never got that. But he had a notion of what it might be. He based it on a theory of consciousness called the bicameral mind.
The idea that primitive man believed his thoughts to be the voice of the gods. And I thought it was debunked.
No, it's a theory for understanding the human mind, perhaps, but not as a blueprint for building an artificial one. See, Arnold built a version of their cognition in which the hosts heard their programming as an inner monologue, with the hopes that in time their own voice would take over. It was a way to bootstrap consciousness.
Bootstrapping consciousness. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, right? And actually, later on in that scene, they go on to say some hosts went crazy and started thinking that they were hearing God.
Yes. There's two problems with Arnold's idea. One, in this place, the last thing you want the host to be is conscious. And two, the people who think they hear the gods are dangerous lunatics.
Yep.
You can't, like,
They're
Arnold
fanatics,
didn't think, Arnold didn't think this through. And then he says, Arnold did not understand what this place would be. It's about power. People outside can't indulge it in the outside world, so they come here to indulge it. The least we can do is let the hosts forget. Arnold worked too much. He died in the park. We called it an accident, but Arnold was very, very careful.
Careful, yeah.
Remember, Bernard, the hosts are not real. They're not conscious. You must not make Arnold's mistake. And then he looks at Ford and he goes, why would I? And he goes, the death of your... And then it's like Ford is measuring him.
I think Ford is triggering it.
Yeah?
I think Ford is poking it purposely because he says the death of your son still weighs heavily on you. This is when he just talked about...
Do you think it's a voice command that he's giving him? They had just talked about the only legacy of this are the voice commands we give in the park. Like the only leftover, the only thing that survived this thing is the voice commands that we use still. And then, so do you think, so he triggers Bernard somehow?
Yeah, I don't know if he triggers him or if he's pushing it, right? Because Bernard is not a host.
This whole time, I thought that, like,
but he is.
Arnold was, I don't know, some white guy.
Well, we're led to believe that up until the reveal at the end. And
then that Bernard is now, it was a whole different look. Like, they had the same mannerisms with the glasses where he takes off his glasses to think, and then he's pushing them up. Like, they have the same mannerisms. Bernard has been, like, coded with the same mannerisms, but I did not get the impression that Ford made Bernard in Arnold's literal image.
Yes. Yes, he did.
He did? Yeah. Okay. Great. I'm so glad that
I
know nothing, Jon Snow.
That's okay, because we're rewatching this, and that's the point, right? Is to kind of connect the dots at the end.
So I had thought there was the conversation about backstory and how the host's backstory, we get this with Teddy when they didn't bother to give him a backstory, and we get this with G.I. Joe and Closet Case when they're talking about the stray. So we've sort of been primed for this.
Right.
But the big moment is Arnold's backstory or Bernard's backstory. Right. Your son's death still weighs heavily on you. This is the grounding force for Bernard, isn't it? Like, this is his backstory.
Right.
And this is what, centers his whole...
cognition.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And the first time you watch it through, you don't get that because you're not looking
you don't
for
know
these...
You don't know the big things, which clearly I still don't know what the big things are. But
but
we'll get there.
You don't have this... you're not looking for it because we are very purposely led to believe that, Arnold was just some other white dude, right?
Now, so when Bernard is either remembering his life as Arnold, talking to his wife about Charlie, or he is, that's a program part of him. Something is happening there. That's his story that grounds him.
Yeah.
I was immediately thinking of Teddy and Dolores and how they error correct with their own stories, that their stories ground each other.
Yeah, well, it's there's a great scene with that where she's like, "Let's go today."
That's right.
And Teddy goes,
"That's right.
I can't go yet. I've got sins.
I've got
sins I've got to pay
does he
for," or
say?
something along those lines.
Yeah.
He says like, "Someday, I'll take you there someday," and she says, "Someday is something that people say when they actually mean never."
What now? So we're watching that whole scene.
Yeah.
And are you wondering, is this scripted? We're supposed to be wondering if what we're watching so voyeuristically.
So I think what we're seeing,
is it scripted, or is she going off script the whole time?
I think she's going off loop.
They seem more human in this scene than they've ever seen. And kudos to both the actors, because their movements are just a little bit mechanical. The way they blink in unison and like tilt their heads at specific degrees, but it still feels very human. Yeah. It's not human, but it feels human, and the whole audience is right up next to their cheeks.
Yep.
Like, dead eyes staring them for, is this, are you faking it or are you real? Is this consciousness or is this canned response?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
And I think this is a perfect example of, like you said, of the error correcting, because I think she's making a quote unquote error.
Yeah.
She's kind of going off script, and then he's bringing her right back to script, right? He's correcting that error.
Someday was the key, right?
Well, he says, "I'll take you there someday," and she says,
"This is where I think maybe she goes off, where she
kind of
is having, that's her moment."
Yeah, she says, "Someday is something that people say when they mean never."
Yeah,
I want to go today. Let's go now.
You didn't say today, tomorrow, next week. You said someday.
Right?
And and he his eyes kind of gloss over. The music in this scene is really haunting and kind of frenetic, which adds to this feeling of something's wrong.
Yeah.
And it, the whole scene is begging us, to, is it real? Are they improvising? And leading up to this, here's another Stump Dave question. Stump Dave.
Stumpin' Dave.
What is the invented brand name of the milk that Dolores drops every morning on that horse?
Oh, God.
It's a real thing. I've seen it now in all 3 of the episodes. It rolls a certain way, and it is called Maiden's Blend milk. Maiden's Blend. Like she's a
maid.
She's
a maiden.
Even her...
Man, too bad no one's ever had sex with her. She looks like she could, rump and tumble.
This is the darkness of the thing, right? Like the bad guy, there's an almost rape here.
Yeah.
Teddy comes in saves her from an almost rape, right?
So he saves her. He then takes her and tries to teach her how to shoot.
Yes.
She can't shoot because she's not programmed to pull the trigger.
Weapons privileges. We found out that only some hosts have weapons privileges. And he says something like, some hands just weren't designed to hold a gun, to pull a trigger. Oh, it's so good. And of course,
then,
at the end,
she does something that we didn't think she'd do. And she hears the voice.
Whose voice was it?
That's her own voice.
I think it was the Man in Black's voice. No, the Man in Black was...
The Man in Black shows up and she's remembering
She thinks that the bad guy in front of her is the Man in Black.
And then she hears, I think this is her inner voice. This is her bicameral mind saying,
maybe I wrote it down.
Kill him.
What does it say? Because I've been paying attention, because there's that one voice that I thought was Arnold's voice. The unfamiliar male voice. It didn't sound like Bernard. Maybe that's why I think that Bernard and Arnold are different physically.
I think it
would be so much easier if he did just look like Arnold.
Yeah.
But wouldn't people figure it out?
No, because remember, Ford says
they eliminated every trace of him.
Yeah, they've erased him from the memories.
Man.
But what's interesting, I think this is the bicameral mind, right? This is her hearing her programming and her response as an inner monologue, potentially. And it's not actually her voice, because if I recall correctly, I think later on she starts hearing her own voice, but I think right now she just hears a voice and it goes,
Dolores
kill him.
Yep, it says kill him. It's a voice command, but I say my note here is, whose voice does she hear? Because I don't know. Yeah. A voice command, is it God? Is it rewritten programming? Is it the horror of her own memory? Is it blood? Is it,
Yeah.
And then she's, stay on your loop, Dolores, is what Bernard had told her. Mm-hmm. And she remembers being shot in the gut by the, host that's about to shoot her.
That's right.
And she looks down and there's no blood. And then she jumps on the horse and runs away. The end of the episode, one scene later. So from that point, Dolores runs away on the horse.
Yeah.
We next see her in the final scene with Logan and William when Logan's like, I'm not paying $40,000 a day so we can jerk ourselves off. Yeah.
Woods, yep.
And Dolores collapses in the white hat's arms.
Yep.
I looked to see if she had been shot because that would tell me, did this happen before? Did this happen now?
Right.
And she just collapses in the way that they film it and pan out sort of to the ceiling, to the sky. You can't tell. Yeah. And they're being very careful about this stuff.
Yeah. I don't think she was shot.
Because in the past, she remembered being shot.
Right. But see, that's what makes this so kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Because the reason why she pulls the trigger.
So it could be happening right now in the real timeline.
Right. And the reason why she pulls the trigger is because she's remembering the man in black, which we know is the same man in the white hat.
Yep.
So she can't possibly be remembering that if it hasn't happened yet. So it's really kind of this really interesting play on the two timelines. And maybe in season 2 we'll get a little bit more explanation. Maybe we'll get to just see Samurai World, but
Samurai World
knows, right?
There is a trailer out now that have you seen the trailer for it?
I have not seen the trailer.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's a militarized.
I'll have to watch it.
It's a militarized, badass looking Dolores, and it just looks cool, but it looks very Western still. So we'll see. A lot of.
I'm sure they're gonna stay. I mean, right? Again, what timeline is it taking place in?
Right.
And then because it's like we know the park still exists 30 years later, so if we're seeing more, previous rebellion leading into this kind of maze solution with the man in black, we obviously know that the park ends up again with itself. So.
Oh man! So we've got.
I think we covered everything.
No, because we missed the.
What did we miss?
The one humorous moment, the big humor moment, is this friendship between Closet Case Becky and G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
We keep coming back to them throughout, and it's just so charming and nice. And there's a moment where she says something very honestly with him, and he teases her about it, and she's like, this is why I use sarcasm as a wall or defense or something.
As a defense mechanism, yeah.
And it's so great, but I have a couple of notes on this.
That's actually a good scene, too, is he goes to saw off the guy's head.
Yes.
And he wakes up.
There's some horror. These are the horror movie elements of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one thing I wanted to say about the almost rape scene earlier with Teddy and Dolores, where Teddy interrupts there's a new guy and, did you notice that the creepy guy, what color his hat was?
It was black.
It was white.
Oh, you mean the new creepy guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was wearing a white hat.
And so I'm wondering on the rewatch if little things like that are placed there to show us that the guys that pick white hats are not nice guys or not always nice guys. He was like, oh, I wanted something easy. Right. Basically, I came here to rape something, but I wanted something easy, and Teddy is about to shoot him or whatever.
Right.
And so I wondered if that white
do you think
hat.
That's a host, or that? No, that's
a new guy.
Okay, yeah.
That's a new guy, right? A newcomer to the park that has joined up with these
bad guys.
Yeah, these bad guys that end up at Dolores's house later that night.
That guy is a fucking great actor. The guy with the handlebar mustaches.
Yes.
He's in fucking everything. He's in Walking Dead.
You were telling me that.
He's fucking awesome. And he always plays this kind of badass bad guy. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
I thought it was really funny when G.I. Joe and Closet Case come up on a bunch of dudes stuck in a loop arguing with each other about who's going to get wood.
Yeah, that was great.
It was so good. I didn't see that coming. I thought they were all going to start shooting each other or fighting.
And they just
freeze. And then in the middle of this argument that's going nowhere, and they're stuck in a loop. So you can imagine that they've been having the same argument for, a day and a half.
That's how they figure out that there's a stray, right?
Yep.
Because they say they've been stuck in this loop ever since their woodcutter has walked off. And
she's none of them, the girl's none of these guys is going to pick up a fucking axe. And the dude, this is when we learn about weapons privileges.
Right.
And he's like,
but here's the interesting thing.
They must be carefully doled out.
But this is interesting because they all have guns. Mm-hmm. So I don't think when they say weapons privileges, they actually mean guns, because the guns in the West world can't hurt humans.
Right.
Right?
Then why can't Dolores pull the trigger?
I think that's just...
She just wasn't... that code just wasn't...
Yeah, just wasn't programmed in her.
Yep.
But the reason why the axe is a weapon is because you can't stop a blunt object.
That's a great observation,
from
Dave.
hitting someone. So like you don't see swords with a lot of people.
That's
right?
a great observation. And it's real wood, they're having a real fire. They need to cut real wood.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, dude. That is a great observation.
Which is also actually an interesting tie-in, because when we see the crazy guy, the stray, he has weapons privileges, and he picks up this giant rock, and you think he's gonna smash Becky's freaking head in,
and he suicides himself in the most grotesque way possible. Yeah. But they go into the tent. What do they see?
Yeah. They see all his wood carvings.
And what did you think when you saw them?
At first, I'm like, there's no way they programmed this. Like, this guy went crazy. He's carving things. There's no way they programmed it.
Right.
But then he makes the comment, why does he do this?
Right.
And she makes the comment, oh, it's the little things. It's the backstory that the people...
This is when we start talking about backstory that grounds people or whatever.
Exactly.
And he's like, you don't program them to look at the stars.
Yeah.
And so he goes, well... They look like shit. You could have at least programmed him to be good at this or whatever.
Have a steady hand. You should have at least programmed him to have a steady hand. This looks like shit.
So she picks up a thing on a turtle shell that looks like that.
Yeah.
And I immediately, it's a constellation, and I was like, oh. I paused the show because I was taking notes, and I was like, what does the bear look like? Because there's bears.
Well, she picks up the bear and compares to the turtle, right?
And I was like, oh, what is the constellation? What is the name of the constellation?
Is it Vigo?
That is
Virgo?
Called...
Is Virgo the bear?
The Big Bear.
Is it Vigo? That's what I'm asking you, Tana. It's not Vigo, it's Virgo. I don't know. All I know is I'm a Gemini.
Ursa Major.
Oh, Ursa, bear. Yeah.
That's the Big Bear. So that's what I thought it was going to be. But then I compared them. So the Big Dipper is Ursa Major. So you have the Big Dipper. And that's Ursa Major, and then you've got 4 feet sort of coming off of it and a little head.
The Big Dipper is Ursa Major's tail and butt.
Yep. So the bucket of the Big Dipper is the sort of body of the bear.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And then, but that's not what it is. He says later, oh,
that's Orion.
That's Orion, and he twists it to the side, or she tilts it on the side.
Yeah.
And because G.I. Joe mentions horoscopes. What are you thinking about your horoscope? And Orion, right? She's like, what are you, Gala fucking Leo?
Yeah.
And then you know what he says to her? He looks right at her, and this is what is so great about their friendship. And he goes, maybe it's in my backstory.
Yeah.
And then he keeps walking. And I was like, this is gold. This is what is elevating the show. This kind of, human. It's like they're friends like we're friends, Dave.
Yeah.
And their sort of like chumminess is carrying the show into the future, my dear boy. This drink
looks like nothing to me.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Man, what an episode.
It was good.
The Stray, huh?
Yep.
Woo.
It sets up so much. The backstories, the stars, the ideas of consciousness.
I think moving
these interactions between people, what Ford means, what Bernard means.
Yeah, I think moving forward, this is going to really unlock the next kind of level of the game for us, right? And because we are now completely eyes open to what happens next.
Yes.
And I think that's going to be super important.
Yep. And Bernard is, Ford says, don't make the same mistake Arnold made.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing, and then Bernard chooses. Like, you chose to have iced latte, and I chose to have a hot latte.
Iced is better.
Or iced tea versus hot tea.
Chai Rum ChaiLatte.
There it is. It just rolls off the tongue.
Chai Rum ChaiLatte.
Yeah.
Rum ChaiLatte.
Rum ChaiLatte.
Rum ChaiLatte.
Yeah, so that works for me.
That works.
I think that's it, man. Do you got any final thoughts for us here?
I think the biggest final thought I have is just straight up we need to pay attention. We need to open our eyes.
Wyatt gets introduced here.
Yes, that's actually pretty.
So we get a lot of villain story about Teddy talking about.
Finally gets a backstory.
So Teddy and the lesbian shotgun go on this adventure. Teddy suddenly has his backstory. He's there with his whole compadres.
Yep.
And they're hunting people in the woods. At first, I was like, this is a little much. I thought Teddy was alone with the sheriff.
Yeah.
And I was like, if it's just robots talking to robots, this is extraneous.
Yeah, but then there's those two other guys as well.
Yeah, there's like a cowardly banker guy, and there's the shotgun lesbian.
Uh-huh.
And the cowardly banker guy.
There's two cowardly banker guys.
Yeah. I thought the one is the sheriff, so one goes back with a host. I think that there's just one.
The black guy is a host.
Yep.
And then there's the other guy who was with him because
Pinstripe suit,
and then there was another guy behind him.
And did he just bug out or something?
I think he bugged out with him too. I think he's like, I didn't pay. I'm not here for this shit. And they bounce.
And there's like all these grotesque
because he says the one day he goes, you wanted to go and I wanted to go down to the river.
That's right. You wanted to come out here. And then the lesbian is like shooting off her shotgun and everything. And then these guys, so they jump out. Teddy shoots all of them, right? Like he's a gunslinger.
He does a fast.
That was awesome. Boom, boom, boom. Like he's surrounded by everybody.
Too. Yeah.
Some serious cowboy shit, but they don't fall down.
No.
So are they, are we supposed to think they're humans?
I think what we're supposed to think is that they're quote unquote conscious hosts, maybe, or
they're invincible.
They're
maybe just Wyatt is so tough.
I think later on we believe that Wyatt thinks he is God or something along those lines, and he kind of bestows that on his followers. So maybe he finds a way to modify their code or something.
Yeah, so we've got,
who knows, or maybe this is just what they're programmed for.
I love that we don't actually fucking remember the show.
Yeah, I know,
that makes everything a little bit.
It's a little bit better.
It's a little better
it's
because
like
we kind of remember
it with us for the first time,
but we kind of think we know things.
Yeah.
So we're just inventing things.
Basically, we drink and
wrong.
we don't know things.
Yeah, man.
That's
I love that crossover.
Yep. On that note, ladies and gentlemen,
nerds and neckbeards,
we're going to leave you for tonight.
Yeah.
But we will see you the next time whenever we decide
episode
to cast.
4.
Episode 4
of Westworld.
Wheneverly. One more time, wheneverly. Goodbye.